The battle for the capital continues, with daily shelling that includes residential buildings from Russian positions just 15 kilometers away, and closer quarters fighting on its suburban outskirts. Western intelligence assessments point to ground offensives that have largely stalled, with Russian troops making little or no progress towards strategic objectives. But if towns like Irpin, Bucha and Hostomel were to fall, a path could open up for a push into Kyiv itself. In the meantime, the major centres of this conflict continue to get pounded from artillery positions and from the air. Yet more residential buildings hit in Kharkiv and Chernihiv. And Russia maintains its stranglehold of Mariupol in the south. A convoy of vehicles was able to leave the besieged port city on Monday, but no aid supplies made it in. The resumption of ceasefire talks on Tuesday may result in a more sustained local ceasefire around Mariupol, where it's clear relief cannot come too soon. Hundreds of thousands of people are trapped in conditions of unimaginable hardship in a city blockaded and bombarded for 2 weeks. Bodies are said to lie uncollected in the street, supplies of food, water and medicine near exhausted. Ukraine's President Zelenskyy has urged Russian troops to surrender.
On behalf of the Ukrainian people, we give you a chance to live. If you surrender to our forces, we will treat you as humans have to be treated, with dignity, the way you have not been treated by your own army, and the way your army does not treat our people. Choose.
So, a second day of ceasefire talks, and separately, an advisor to President Zelenskyy has said he believes the war will be over by May at the very latest. A prediction based on intelligence reports of slower than expected Russian progress, larger than expected Russian losses. Its forces spread increasingly thinly across the vastness of north, south and eastern Ukraine. Wishful thinking, perhaps?
The units of the People's Militia of the Donetsk Republic continued to compress the encirclement in Mariupol. The general advance from the east, the northern and western direction was up to 800 meters. The divisions of the Russian armed forces are continuing offensive operations.
There are reports that Russia has already prevailed on allies like China and Syria for help. But all the heart in this fight belongs to Ukraine, and it refuses to submit. Jonah, Al Jazeera, Lviv.
Imran Khan's at one of the apartment buildings in Kyiv that was hit, and he's spoken with one of its residents.
This is what it's like to be inside one of the apartments in this bombed-out building, which happened in the early hours of the morning. This is actually a child's room. Marsha is the kid that normally lives here. She's actually been evacuated. But you can see the windows, the power of the blast blew the windows in. They've actually managed to tidy up a lot of the glass, get it all out. A lot of the kids' books and things are now actually on the balcony. There's still a lot of damage here. This is Vyacheslav, who lives here. Vyacheslav, just tell us what happened in the morning.
5 early in the morning, we listen a very big boom and smell of gunpowder, and we sleeping on corridor. Like every 70 nights, and I'm jump on this place and saw absolutely the damaged room with broken window, glass all the way, and it was very. I was very afraid, and but I try being absolutely.
Calm?
Yeah, calm, and because I understand my girlfriend was very afraid and almost hysteric, and I must be calm, and I'm starting collect our things, stuff for going out to the street. Yeah.
A very traumatic experience. You said that you've been sleeping in the corridor rather than the bedrooms.
Yeah.
Were you told to do that, or is this something you felt like you had to do?
It was sleeping every night in corridor. It was like self-defense because we understand it's a war and bombing can happen every time. Because we absolutely with clothes, with shoes, with our baggage for something, yeah.
Well, it's lucky that you were in the corridor. A lot of people in these apartments are actually sleeping in their corridors precisely because they're afraid of an attack like this.
Well, that's a situation in the capital, Kyiv, but Odessa is one of the cities along the southern coast that's still under Ukrainian control, but the Russian military is approaching. Our correspondent, Hoda Abdelhamid, is there. Talk to us about what things are like in this city, Hoda.
Well, certainly you can see from the picture behind me here, this is a fortified city. This is a city that has actually been hit on the first night of the war on February 24th. 20 people died on that day. And it is a city that President Volodymyr Zelenskyy had warned more than once that Russia is planning to attack. It is a very strategic port city on the Black Sea, one of the most important ports for Ukraine. A lot of exports happen from that city. And as you mentioned, there is a Russian advance to the south of Odessa. The Russian troops are still stuck in Mykolaiv, but that's only about 130 kilometers from here. Now, the Ukrainians say that at the moment they control the N24, which is the road that would lead from Mykolaiv to Odessa, but Odessa feels that it's not under pressure from this advance from the south. There's also the fact that it's facing the Black Sea. The Ukrainians are saying that the Russians are fortifying or building up their naval positions in the sea, that the city could be attacked from the sea as well. And then some do also say that a third front could be opened from across the border in Moldova, from that breakaway region of Transnistria, which is, of course, pro-Russian. So it's a city that feels that it could become very quickly under siege. And it's actually, throughout my travels in this country, it is one of the most fortified cities I've seen so far.
Hoda, behind those fortifications, how are people coming to terms with the fact that the Russian military could be approaching and their lives could significantly change?
Well, I would say that more than half of the population has already left Odessa. Now, what's very interesting about this place, this is a city that was openly pro-Russian. This is a city where, after the annexation of Crimea back in 2014, that saw riots between the pro-Ukrainian youth and pro-Russian youth, and those were deadly riots. About 40 people died at the time. And it is also a city that has a lot of Russian investment. Tourists from Russia come here all the time. So it's always a city that has seen itself like that. Now, since we've arrived here, really, from the checkpoints at the entrance of the city with that very heavy security, all we have seen are Ukrainian flags. I was speaking to a young man earlier, and I said to him, well, do you think that Russia wants Odessa? He said, of course Russia wants Odessa because of all these investments, because of all these factories that are here, all that Russian money that's here, because of his strategic point. But he also said that many of the pro-Russians who were here were horrified not only by what is unfolding in Kyiv, but what had happened in another city considered very much pro-Russian, Kharkiv. And I asked, do you think this would happen here? Would Russia destroy Odessa, which is sort of considered the jewel of the Black Sea? And he said, I have no doubt they would destroy it if we don't give in. But from what I've seen around, we've been here only a few hours. This is a city that is now showing the Ukrainian colors, supporting the Ukrainian colors, and very much backing Ukraine.
Hoda Abdelhamid talking to us from Odessa. Hoda, thank you.